Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا. So life is meant to be full of trials and fitan. And if it was not, then it is not life, then it's heaven. And that you are asked to do your best during fitna, not that you can control the outcome of these trials and challenges that you go through. The best thing you need to understand in this is that there is a wisdom behind all that which happens. These Sahaba, probably they had fought, and if you go study the madhahib of Abu Hanifa, Malik and others, you see very rich, portions of their fiqh based on what decisions were taken during the fitna time among the Sahaba. So if it was only to pull out these decisions that were taken by the Sahaba fighting among each other, to come out with conclusions of rulings, then that's how you are going to what? To learn from the experiences. We have the sons of Adam, Qabil killing Habil as the first two humans on earth, the sons of Adam. We had the Prophet ﷺ having to fight his own people, the people of Mecca. They were non-Muslims, but even these matters are all planned, part of God's wisdom. And this is something that Allah will rule everyone on a personal level at the Day of Judgment, what it is. But we need to understand that mashakil, problems, trials, fitan will always happen. So don't be locked up in the mentality, how could Sitna Aisha go out and participate in something like that? I mean, ask yourself your question now when you dispute with your own siblings and something really goes wrong. How could you have taken that decision at that time? There are so many circumstances that might add up to people, decisions at that time. And we are told to make dua for them. ربنا اغفر لنا ولإخواننا الذين سبقونا في الإيمان ولا تجعل في قلوبنا غلا للذين آمنوا. Oh Allah, have mercy on them and do not leave any grudges in our heart toward them in that perspective. The second point in that perspective also is that when we're talking about the qadar of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it includes all these, conflicts, and people are meant to roll into the qadar of Allah with their decisions. But at the end, if Allah decreed a conflict to happen, some people will be martyrs, some people will be challenged. This is all part of His wisdom that we trust. And the story of Sayyidina Musa with al-Khadr when he killed the young boy, أَقَتَلْتَ نَفْسًا زَكِيَّةً بِغَيْرِ نَفْسٍ, when he brought down the ship, when he refused to raise the wall. Musa alayhi salam didn't see the beyond wisdom behind that, but then he had to tell him all these things. So I just wanted to make this note and move on, inshallah. Now, what is al-Khawarij? If we're talking more like of a definition, basically they are, as a group, the people who went against Imam Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu. But we're gonna talk more of the idea of al-Khawarij, and Khawarij from kharaja yakhruju, to go against, or to go, and that's what they did exactly, the group of al-Khawarij. So when Imam Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu agreed to the tahkim, and they accepted certain conditions that I will talk about now, group of people said, you have failed to act on what you should have done. And they came up with the slogan, La hukma illa lillah, that Allah is the ruler. But then they stopped there and they did not bring that statement into how Allah is going to rule. It's going to be through the acts of people. So they kind of cut that link in between, and they used that against Imam Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And they were very outspoken, actually vicious. And let me relate that extremism can relate to certain things. Imam al-Ghazali talks about 4 origins in us, in our creation, that causes people to go into sinful acts or upgrade into extremism. He said, in humans there are sifat bahimiyya. We have animal type of characteristics. So it could be the need for intimacy, the need for eating and food that can cause people to go into sinful acts. And that's what the Prophet said in one hadith, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, "Man damina li ma bayna lahyayhi wa ma bayna fakhidayhi damintu lahu al-jannah." One who can control for me that which is between the 2 jaws, lahyay, in the upper and the lower jaw, which means your tongue, and that which is between your legs, the intimacy part, I will guarantee him what? Heaven. So a lot of sins are based of these 2 things in human beings. So the same thing can cause people to go extreme, either loose or extreme. Extreme, you know the story of the 3 people who came to the Prophet ﷺ, and one said, when he came and asked about the Prophet, how he's living his life, Aisha said, you know, he's a normal man. So these 3 people were confused. He is the Prophet and like he sleeps. He is the Prophet and he doesn't fast every day. He is the Prophet and he is married. So one said, I never sleep. The other one said, I never quit fasting. Like I never sleep, yani praying all night. The other one said, every day I fast. And the third one said, well, the woman who married, who kids, who I need to pray to Allah all the time. I don't have time for family. So when the Prophet heard about that, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he said, Amma ana fa usalli wa arqud wa asum wa uftir wa atazawwaju nisa. Well, my path is that I pray and I sleep. I fast and I break my fast and I marry women. And هذه وهذه sunnah. This is my sunnah. فَمَنْ رَغِبَ عَنْ سُنَّتِي فَلَيْسَ مِنِّي. One who goes off track my sunnah, then he doesn't belong to me. So those people who want to abuse what Allah had put in them as their need and go extreme in putting things, you know, pressure on them. Like one of the wives of the Prophet ﷺ, she went and she tied a rope, you know, in the masjid to make qiyam al-layl, and she put it under her arm, so when she prays she can stay standing even like she's kind of sleeping. So he said, Muru, you know, it was either the wife of the Prophet or someone else, I'm not sure. So don't go this extra step to force on yourself things that you are not able to keep up with. So some people will abuse this, and that's where the idea of being a monk or a nun or someone rahbaniya, you know, the idea of seclusion or letting go people and living by yourself, this could be part of what people take in that perspective. The second characteristics that the Imam Ghazali spoke about, he said, وَفِينَا صِفَاتٌ سَبْعِيَّةٌ. We have beast-oriented characteristics. You know, like the beasts, like the lions and the carnivores, which means al-ghadab, anger, al-viciousness, al-batish, you know. And these things, it can grow that when you deal with someone that you disagree with, you take it extreme. And there are people, unfortunately, among Muslims, when you talk to them, they can never do good da'wah. You know, they want to take the toughest level and put you liable to it. They don't want to humanize Islam. Islam is meant to cater for humanity in all its capacities. So when you take all Muslims on a certain level of faith that you think that they fit only this level and everyone should be on this level, the Prophet ﷺ didn't give that perspective. He said, what I told you quit, quit. But what I told you to do, do as much as you can. And here we're talking about other than al-farad. Al-farad are obligations. But there are certain people who wants every Muslim to be an extreme, and as if Islam is only to read Quran or to make dhikr or something like that. The concept of ibadah can go on different levels. So these tough, vicious, rude ways of introducing Islam sometimes, what did the Prophet tell? What did Allah tell His Prophet ﷺ? وَلَوْ كُنْتَ فَضًّا غَلِيظَ الْقَلْبِ لَنْفَضُّوا مِنْ حَوْلِكَ. If you have a harsh heart, if you were rude, if you were conscious of people's need of, then people are not going to hang out for you for a long time. So these characteristics of beast-oriented, toughness, rudeness, al-batish, it is part of what people hang on to, and it will cause people to go extreme. And then he said, وَفِينَا صِفَاتٌ شَيْطَانِيَّةٌ. We have Satan-based characteristics in us. And he spoke about al-khida', al-makr, deceivousness, cheating, lying, taking tricks. That's what shaitan does. Beautifying, whispering, throwing doubtfulness. Shaitan can never force you on doing anything. He will claim that at the إِلَّا أَن دَعَوْتُكُمْ فَاسْتَجَبْتُمْ لِي. I just called you to do that and you answered me. Shaitan has no power on you. He can beautify, yuzayyin. He can make things look good. But at the end, you take the choice. And every day you are being attacked from two sources. نحن we're kind of off track, but I think this is good to base الموضوع عليه. You have attacks coming to you from within yourself, your own nafs, and you have attacks coming from shaitan. Your nafs will attack to you into desires to feed in haram or halal, and shaitan will attack you into throwing doubtfulness into matters, shubuhat. So shahawat and shubuhat. Shahwat are the desires kicking within. Shubuhat are the doubts coming from a shaitan. Your path to clear and safe and secure yourself from shahwat is ibadah. If you engage in acts of ibadah, then you are more able to control your what? Your shahwat and your desires. Your way to protect yourself from a shaitan is knowledge, al-ilm, al-ma'rifah. When you learn, you understand the ways and methods that shaitan used to deceive you. So you'll be better aware. And this is exactly what Ibn Abbas did with the khawarij. When they had, the dispute, and we're going to come to this in a moment, and I'll give you. So my point, I really praise everyone who come to the convention, to the retreat, and spend time learning. At a time when people can be just shopping around and, having time and drinking coffee outside and whatever. You coming and studying and learning, it means Allah chose for you to benefit something. First, it will bring peace into your own mind. Second, it will help you spread peace into the conscious and people around you. When you speak, you will make sense and you will help people be steadfast on their faith. There is a lot of fitna out there in reference to shubuhat, doubts and stuff like that. And there's a lot of fitna out there within people's lives. So inshallah, you'll be the role model in that, inshallah. And then he said the fourth characteristics, or one of the four characteristics, is فينا صفات ربوبية. We tend to be like God. If you leave the human being on his own to grow, he will end up to be God. His self, ana, will grow and grow and grow until, like Pharaoh said, what? Ana rabbukum al-a'la. I am your Lord. Even Iblis, Satan, never claimed that. Mr. Shaitan, he never dared to say, I am God. He would always to refer to Allah, Qala Rabbi. Yara, always, he will use. But humans, we have an ayah in the Quran where it says, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, حَتَّى إِذَا أَخَذَتِ الْأَرْضُ زُخْرُفَهَا وَزَّيَّنَتْ. Wait until you see that land, earth, has been beautified and looking all beautiful and nice. وَظَنَّ أَهْلُهَا أَنَّهُمْ قَادِرُونَ عَلَيْهَا. They think that they are in charge, they are gods. أَتَاهَا أَمْرُنَا. Our matter will come to it. And you have to be aware. Why am I seeing now so many divorce cases Why there is so many problems between parents and kids? It's all about me, my space, myself, ana. No one is willing to sacrifice for the other part. And technology is all about, iPhone, iPad, Facebook, MySpace. It is all based on growing your entity. So you have to be cautious. Imam al-Bukhari, and I'm sorry I went off the topic, but I need something good too. Imam al-Bukhari, he put this hadith under a very interesting category. He has the index in the Sahih. The hadith when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, nothing will bring my servant close to me but what I have ordained on him. مما افترضت عليه. ثم لا يزال عبدي يتقرب إلي بالنوافل حتى أحبه. He makes more nawafil until I love him. And if I love him, I become his hearing. Imagine, God becomes your hearing. سمعه الذي يسمع به. Your sight. بصره الذي يبصر به. يده التي يبطش بها. رجله التي يمشي بها. Allah becomes a total guardian in everything you do. Where did Imam Bukhari put this hadith? He puts it under the index of category at-tawadu', humbleness. Now there's a lot of fiqh by Imam Bukhari in that. Which means you can only connect with God when you declare yourself you are zero. You can only connect with God properly when you declare you are nothing. Imam al-Shafi'i was asked, what helped you reach this level of humbleness? He said, I never met a Muslim, but I felt he is better than me. نحن هلا we're sitting and someone shows up, oh okay, where's her dress from? Is it from Lord & Taylor ولا من Walmart? What car is driving? We start making judgments of people. Because we see ourselves higher than others. We give ourselves the green light to what? To make rulings on others. We put ourselves in towers. And I'm talking here about life matters, but in da'wah, this is the worst form. When you declare yourself, you are better, بتعرف انت العالم, انت الفهمان, and then you start looking down onto people, that's when you're gonna grow into arrogance. And arrogance is the worst. All sins, there's a chance you can come back to them, from them. I'm sorry. All sins, there's a chance for you to come back from them to tawbah, but arrogance is the highest one that you cannot. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, سَأَصْرِفُ عَنْ آيَاتِيَ الَّذِينَ يَتَكَبَّرُونَ فِي الْأَرْضِ بِغَيْرِ حَقٍّ. I will take away from the signs, seeing the signs, those people who declare themselves arrogant. And most of extremism is originated to the idea of al-kibr, al-ujub, seeing yourself better than others. That's the point where I'm going to lead you to. So these four characteristics that Imam al-Ghazali mentioned, people want to declare themselves God, and that's what many people who are in the business of extremism, they are busy sending people to hell. Instead of sending people to hell, have you mastered the art of inviting them to heaven, ya akhi? How much time have you spent time to introduce people to heaven? In your own character, in your own conduct, and in your own da'wah. Now the Prophet ﷺ spoke about people who will come like that. There was an incident that the Prophet had some gold coming from Yemen, and he gave it to certain people that he chose. He felt that they are worthy at that time. So one person by the name of the Dhul Khuwaisira, he said, fear Allah, ittaqillah, for this is a ruling that you did not fear Allah in it. Challenging him. And he said, illam a'dil faman ya'dil. If I am not going to be fair and just, who else is going to be fair and just? And then the Prophet spoke about that. From this type of people, يَخْرُجُ مِنْ ضِئْضِ هَذَا قَوْمٌ يَتْلُونَ. There will be people, because of this mentality, that they see themselves over an authority. The Prophet is an authority, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He said, from this type of person, there will be people whom they will have the recitation of the Quran so close, ratban bima'na, not like wet, رطبا بمعنى close to their hearts. But لا يجاوز حناجرهم. It will only go as voice. In another riwayah, تراقيهم, like their throat. Which means the Quran is read by many people like this only as sounds. It is not running as revelation. Because when you need to read the Quran, you need to read it as if it's revealed on you. When you read the Quran, you need to read it as if you are talking to Allah. It's not just about opening and passing pages. If you connect with one ayah or one page or half page in a moment of contemplation, because Allah didn't say, but أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنِ. They should contemplate on how this Quran should connect with them. Not just read without digging into how it should translate into the lifestyle that you are in. And I always say that when people who are asked, what is the miracle of the Prophet? What is the miracle of the Prophet? Can someone tell me? Al-Quran. No, it was not. The miracle of the Quran is the words of Allah to the Prophet to prove his prophecy. So it is not from the Prophet. So when you say the miracle of the Prophet, something he made. He did not make the Quran. He was just a Rasul. He delivered. His miracle to us was as-Sahaba. The generation that was able to translate the Quran into a lifestyle. And that generation delivered to us at-Tabi'een, another generation. And now, if we fail to deliver a generation after us, living in the US, that will take on this religion, then we have failed our deen. So the true miracle of the Prophet ﷺ is not just to introduce people who can just associate themselves with Quran and read some books, but rather live the ethics, the morals of the Quran into their life. I don't mind having my son memorizing a few surahs in the Quran, but to be honest, to be trustworthy, to be reliable, to be responsible. Not someone who can focus on learning Sharia, but then you check him in lifestyle, he's like off track in many things. You have to have this balance. Islam is a, deen shumuli. It has to deliver you in all aspects of life. And then he gave an example. If you throw an arrow to a deer or an animal, how does it pass and goes out from the other side fast, or like a bullet? That's how deen will pass from the people. So there are people with beards and the shadish like me and whatever and hijab, but they are taking the crust top. There is not much deep relativity to Islam as a concept to live according to. And in another hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said, if you compare yourself to the lifestyle, mashallah, they are praying all night, they are reading Quran, all that. It has to relate into the way they live their life. As-salah is meant to deliver you in life. As-zakah is meant to deliver you in life. As-sawm, when the Prophet says, مَنْ لَمْ يَدَعْ قَوْلَ الزُّورِ وَالْعَمَلْ بِهِ فَلَيْسَ لِلَّهِ فِي حَاجَةً أَنْ يَدَعَ طَعَامَهُ وَشَرَابَهُ. How could you be fasting but you are making lies? Then how could you cash this fasting? إِنَّ الصَّلَاةَ تَنْهَى عَنِ الْفَحْشَاءِ وَالْمُنْكَرِ. How could you make salah but you are still engaged in fahsha and munkar? You take every ritual, every concept that was introduced in Islam, it should translate into a lifestyle as a Muslim. But if you are only stopping by the ritual, not connecting it into life, then you are not benefiting much from this Islam you are, going to. Now, these people who went against Imam Ali after the Battle of Siffin, they are called the khawarij. They were around 12,000. I'm gonna go fast. Okay. So listen to this argument, which goes back to the idea of, you remember when I told you shaitan will bring the whispers, and the best way is to deal with it with what? With knowledge. So these people had a fitna of assessing what Ali had done, Imam Ali radiallahu ta'ala has done. So they picked on it, and the shaitan helped them promote it in their minds. So Imam Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu sent his cousin Ibn Abbas. He said, go talk to them. He said, okay, what are your issues? They said, we have three main issues. The first issue is that you allowed men to rule in the Quran al-Kareem. Only Allah should rule in the Quran al-Kareem. He said, what's the second issue? They said, you did not allow us to take the spoils of war from the Muslimin who were killed or injured. He said, what's the third issue? They said, Imam Ali accepted when he wrote the treaty, al-Sulh, the tahkim between him and Muawiyah, he removed his name Amir al-Mu'mineen. He just wrote Ali ibn Abi Talib. And by doing that, he accepted to take himself out from his title. So what was the answer of Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu? He said, if I answer you from the Quran, would you listen to me? They said, yes, of course. He said, where do you go with the ayah where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says when two spouses have disputes, Allah said, فَابْعَثُوا حَكَمًا مِنْ أَهْلِهِ وَحَكَمًا مِنْ أَهْلِهَا إِن يُرِيدَ إِصْلَاحًا يُوَفِّقِ اللَّهُ بَيْنَهُمَا. In the Quran, Allah is saying, bring a man, a person from this side, from the wife's side, and bring a person from the man's side, and if they have good intentions to reconcile, then Allah will make it going on. So why are you rejecting Ali sending someone on his behalf and Muawiyah sending someone on his behalf? So he answered them right on the spot. They said, what about the spoils of war? He said, when Allah says, النبي أولى بالمؤمنين وأزواجه أمهاتهم, that the wives of the Prophet are the mothers of believers, are you going to take your mother as a spoil of war? Tasbi al-Mu'mineen, and your sisters? They said, why did he remove his name from the title of Amir al-Mu'minin? He said, if the Prophet removed his name from Sulh al-Hudaybiyah with the mushrikeen, when he told Ali, Imam Ali, to wipe it, Imam Ali said, I will never wipe Rasulullah. He said, show me, because he didn't know how to read and write, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He showed me. He said, where is it? And he erased it himself, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And because of these answers by Imam Ibn Abbas, he was able to bring back 2,000 or more from the army of the Al-Khawarij, which led that the rest of the people had to go into a battle with Imam Ali in a battle called Ma'arakat Nahrawan. And it was a massive defeat for Al-Khawarij. They were defeated in no time. Actually, it was 1 day or two. And only 9 or 12 people were killed from the side of Imam Ali, and the thousands were either killed or captured or injured from the people of Al-Khawarij. Again, Imam Ali treated them honorably. Imam Ali treated them, respectively in that perspective, in that battle. I just want to, talk about two things. Why did Imam Ali fight these people? And how we're going to conclude something out of that. They allowed themselves to kill people who accepted this type of tahkim. And to have that, when someone kills someone as a mujrim, as a, someone who is like a criminal, that's a criminal, like 1 out of 1,000. But to promote it as an idea, and to rally an army that whoever accepts this, then he's a kafir, then he should be killed. And one of the victims was the great, Tabi'i Abdullah, the son of Khabbab ibn al-Arat, radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And he was arguing with them, and there's no time to speak of the whole incident. They even killed his own wife while she was pregnant. They brought her child out from her. And they took her child from her stomach. So this was this trend, and unfortunately now we have these mentalities around the world. There are people around the world, in the name of Islam, they go put bombs in cars and they go send them to markets, to masajid, to prayers, and they just wipe everyone out. And probably when he put that thing, he was saying in the name of Allah, he's saying Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim with that, killing in the name of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it can go crazy as far as that much, and they can legitimize just because he declared you are out of Islam, or he declared you as you are murtad, or you didn't go along. So this is something that Imam Ali was not able to tolerate, radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Also, the idea of going extreme, as the Prophet said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, لَنْ يُشَدَّ الدِّينَ أَحَدٌ إِلَّا غَلَبَهُ, is that when you're going to go extreme, you're going against knowledge. Because the Prophet said in this hadith, I have it on the screen, that Allah will not take like knowledge out from people, but scholars will die, and then people who claim that they know, they think they are scholars, they start making fatwa without real knowledge, فَيُضِلُّ, and they're going to deceive people in their faith. And nowadays, you know, how many people are going online, making their own Facebook pages, making their own tweets, making their own text messages, and they're rotating it, and things that make no sense. One of the major issues that we are facing now, and I want to focus on this particularly, you can never make a ruling unless you quote a trusted scholar and say this is what he had said, or if you study Sharia yourself and you reach a level of, you know, comparing, you know, adilla or references, what's more reference. In our schools of thought in history, there has always been what we call madrasat al-athar and madrasat al-aql, that people focus more on the verbal meaning or the, you know, literal meaning of the text, and some people refer to the reasoning behind the text. And this school has always been, you know, like against Abu Hanifa represented the school of reasoning, Imam Malik represented the school of the literal meaning of the text. Not that he did not have this, they both had, but that's the main focus in that perspective. But nowadays, after the fall of the Ottoman Empire, movements started coming up to revive Islam in the lives of people. There has been movements that want to cancel all the scholars, all the fuqaha, all the schools of madhahib, and say, this is a text from the Quran, I need to go to Abu Hanifa, I don't need to go to this, I will go directly to the Quran and directly to the hadith. And he will make a ruling based on what he understands one hadith. Have you studied Sharia? What is the purpose of Sharia? Is this hadith, there was a hadith after it, before it, that was, you know, abrogated, mansukh? Is this hadith was to one incident? Is this general, am, or this? There's a lot of things you need to study in usul al-fiqh and maqasid al-sharia, so then you can put things in perspective. You cannot come and take one hadith and make a ruling based on it just because, wallah, you heard this hadith, that's what it means. And if you lack also the Arabic language, then this is another issue that you need to look to take a look at. One of the person, you know, came to another person. He said, "Do you want me to make a ruling for you from the Quran or from the ruling of Abu Hanifa?" He said, "No, from the ruling of Abu Hanifa, because I trust his understanding to the Quran more than you." So that guy was trying to corner him, and, you know, I'm going to make you choose between referring to an ayah in the Quran or referring to Abu Hanifa. He said, "No, refer me to Abu Hanifa because I trust his understanding of the Quran is better than." So it's not like someone is going to reject, you know, the ayah and the Quran, but you cannot, the generation of Sahaba, Tabi'een, the Salaf al-Salih, you cannot skip all that and jump to an ayah or a verse and make your own rulings on your own. You have to study Islam through this perspective, so you would be able to have the best reference to that. Now, the battle was won. Unfortunately, Imam Ali later on was killed, radiallahu ta'ala anhu. I just want to finish with, you know, couple things. Some of these characteristics of these extremists is that they attack scholars. They go against the figures that are well respected in Islam and in Sharia and in history, not just in our time. And they go and they, you know, like wave attacks against them. In many cases, I want you to, sometimes if you face people like that, not to waste time with them. The second point, many people invest time focusing on doubts. I remember a young man came from Northwestern University and he said, "Do you have time? I have some questions for you." I said, "Yes." We ended up spending like 2 hours and 10 minutes. He had a notebook. For the past 2 years, he had been taking all the misconceptions about Islam and writing them down. And he came with all these questions. I answered with whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helped me with. At the end he said, is there some advice for me you want to leave with me? I said, how long it took you to gather all these things? I mean, talk about women, hijab, jihad, the hadith that, the Prophet told the insect, the banya, all. I mean, he had so many things. He said, 2 years. I said, can you spend 6 months learning Islam in the intention that you want to learn rather than you want to come and pick up what is wrong in Islam? Intentions are very important of how you approach Islam in that perspective. So the way we approach our deen is important than those people who are sticking on certain things that, is music to their ears. Because, number 2, there are usul in Islam, basics. Allah is one. There's heaven, there's hell. There's 5 prayers. Pork is haram, liquor is haram, honoring parents is righteous. These are fixed throughout time. But then there is furu', minor things out of this usul. Music, if I shake my hand with a woman, is it halal or haram, or does it break my wudu? All these things that are under this usul, scholars have different views on them. Rule number 1, respect all views, even if you hold on to one. Sahaba, scholars like Shafi'i and others, he say, رأيي صحيح يحتمل الخطأ. I believe my point of view is proper, but there's a chance I could be wrong. وَرَأْيُهُ خَطَأٌ يَحْتَمِلُ الصَّوَابَ. I believe you are wrong, but it might be true. They left a space because they were respectful to the knowledge. So if you follow one's, let me give you an example. I had a case, a Pakistani brother came with his wife and he divorced her while she was in her menstrual period. The ruling in my masjid is that I call that a bid'i divorce. Bid'i means innovative. The Prophet did not approve it, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When the incident happened with Ibn Umar and his wife, he divorced her while she was in her menstrual period. So he said, "Muruhu falyumsikha hatta tathur thumma yurjaha insha." Have him keep her until she is back into able to prayer, and then if he wants to bring her back as his wife. So Imam Ibn Taymiyyah and others, they said this means that the divorce itself is not applicable. So even if he tells her 100 times in that period, you are divorced, for us we don't apply divorce. Khalas, it's fine, but don't do that again. According to the school of Abu Hanifa, which these two couples are true followers, he is divorced. So when he came to me, I said, no, you are fine, go back, live with her. He was very happy, and The next day he came with a fatwa from Pakistan that his father-in-law sent him that no, she is divorced and she has to stay in the iddah. I said, okay, what do you want to do? You came to me, I answered you based on what I practice as what I feel more relative to keep families together in relation to the environment we are living in. So keep your mind open. I don't know what they did after that. But because some people are going to ask me, oh, what happened? So I don't know. But my point is that keep your mind open that they are all views in Islam. And at the time of the Sahaba and the Prophet, there were different views. And the Prophet approved different views, like the people who went to Banu Qurayza and stuff. So that's very important to accept other people's views. Now, I was told also to speak about the beginning of the Shia and where do we differ with them in that perspective. Now, the term of Shia at the time of Sahaba and Tabi'een, by no means it is as a theological term. It was more of a linguistic reference to what Shia means, supporter, as the people who stood with Imam Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And with that we see it's more of a political view that Shaya'u Aliyan, they stood up next to him in support of him. But Shia now are so many different sects. You have people who claim that you know, Ali is almost like God. And there are people of Shia like Zaydiyya in Yemen. They are very close to the mainstream Muslim Sunni, but they said that it should have been the Khilafah for Imam Ali from the beginning. So they keep it more to a views, different views. And in between there is the mainstream Ithna Ashriya or Imamiyya. These are the two main sects that we differ with them on usul, not furu'. This is what I want you to understand the conflict. As I said, if you're talking about Abu Hanifa, Malik, Hanbal, Shafi'i, you know, these are differences in furu', like minor things in Islam. But when it comes differences between Shia and Sunnah, there is differences in usul. There's bottom line one main difference as a whole, is that the Shia sect, they add to the pillars of faith the concept of imamah, which we don't believe in. They believe that Allah revealed to His Prophet ﷺ that after him there are chosen 12 sacred imams, and that leadership should stay with them. And these imams, they have them lined up like Imam Hassan, and then, you know, Al-Baqir, you know, Sadiq and Ja'far al-Sadiq and others, until a last number 12 imam who's gonna come at the end of the world and lead the people together. We disagree with them on this major concept of differences. We don't consider Shia in this perspective as non-Muslims. They are Muslims. They are our brothers. And I don't want sometimes political conflicts to make people rise in their judgment or go low. 1 minute? Okay. He didn't say 1 minute. He said question and answer time. But I'll take 1 minute to finish up. But we say we differ with them. We don't believe that there is a concept of imamah in Islam. There is no imam but the Prophet ﷺ. And after his death, it is you and your righteousness. Whoever is chosen by consultation, by shura, can lead the Muslims. And if Sahaba and Muslims accepted Abu Umar, accepted Abu Bakr, then he is the Khalifa. If they accepted Umar, then he is the Khalifa. If they accepted Uthman, then he is the Khalifa. If they accepted Ali, then he is the Khalifa. And this is what وَأَمْرُهُمْ شُورَ بَيْنَهُم. So we differ with Shia on the idea of imama. That is something that a major difference in al-usul. There are a lot of other differences, but this is the major concept that differ between us and them. At the beginning, Shia meant more of the supporters of Imam Ali, but later on it started, and it started all by the idea of that the Prophet is coming, or Imam Ali is coming back, you know, from death. That's where it started, but there's no more time to go more than that. So we'll take questions, inshallah.
Jazakallah khair. So one particular question here, if I'm reading Quran and I feel nothing, or I don't feel any different, maybe a little calmer, does that mean that I'm like the people in the hadith that the Prophet ﷺ mentioned? That the words...
No, you are not. And your question just tells that you are not. Because you're concerned about this, it means you're concerned about your level of faith with Allah. And that's a good sign. We should always question ourselves. You know, am I in the proper, you know, قَدْ أَفْلَحَ الْمُؤْمِنُونَ الَّذِينَ هُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِمْ خَاشِعُونَ. Am I really in this status of khushu'? Am I really sincere? Let me give you an example. I went to Hajj like a couple years ago, and right when we were done from Mina, like the second day of Tashriq, this tabib, you know, physician came to me and he said, he brought his wife. He said, ask my wife, I am a very emotional person. If I see a movie and there's like crying in it, I cry with them. If my son is going into pain, I like cry with him. Anything brings tears out of from my eyes. He said, Sheikh, I was preparing myself to be like crying the whole trip of Hajj. I went to Medina, nothing. I came to Kaaba, nothing. I came to Arafah, nothing. He was really traumatized, mentally. And I said, actually, what you have been experiencing is a level higher than what you have been thinking that you would be in. If you just cried the way you cry to a movie, then it is kind of degrading what you are in. So probably contemplating, thinking about yourself in that matter with Allah, re-questioning your relationship is a higher level of connectivity with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Read the Quran. Get yourself, because even if you keep just the reading, you have the hasanat in the reading. But always try to help yourself, like, you know, in the masjid, after Fajr, alone, read the interpretation of the Quran, join other people, listen to an imam. It's very important to keep touch with your local imams, you know, halaqat and studies. This will help you put in the spiritual level that you might be lacking. Wallahu a'lam.